Hi, I'm Bonnie Russell. I'm looking forward to talking to you today about the New York State PTA virtual conference being held November 13th through the 15th. Part of it will also be live at the Desmond Hotel in Albany, New York. So this video is to give you a little orientation of how this will occur in a virtual world. The first question that you're probably asking yourself is, how do I join a conference virtually? Well, every registrant will receive an email with a link URL access to the conference. Authorized credentialed voting delegates will receive a different URL than non-voting delegates. To log in, use the email address that you used on your conference registration form. As you can see below, I am pointing to where on the welcome screen you will put that information in. Below that is where you will put the password 20 NYS PTA 20 exclamation point for everyone. Please do not share your ID or email and this password with unregistered delegates, but please know that everything is specific to your email ID, and that's why it's okay that we are all using the same password. Your email ID can only be logged in on one device at a time. It will log you out from one device as you log on to a different device. So for instance, if you're on a laptop now, but you go out and you decide you would like to check in, but from your phone, as you go to log in, you will automatically be logged out on that other device, your laptop. So now you're into the website, and this over here is what you're going to see when you get in there. When you come in, the agenda will be up. Right next to that agenda, which has great information about what will be occurring on what days and when, is a tab called Live Stream. So this is what's going to allow you to watch the general sessions and to watch other items that you're going to want to see throughout the weekend. So what you're going to notice here is that this particular one is for voting delegates. It allows for them to see the live stream, but it also allows for voting. It allows for a chat box, and it allows for the capability to go ahead and speak or debate for or against, or to come forward with a procedural question. And we will get into those particular items a little later in the video. If you are a non-voting delegate, this is the screen that you are going to see. And on here, you will be able to watch everything. You just will not have the ability to vote, put forward any motions or debate, and you will not have the chat box feature. So the business of the annual meeting in a virtual environment is going to be very similar to a traditional environment. So we will have our president, Jane Harsha, who will preside over all business conducted at the conference. Our secretary, Helen Hoffman, secretary, will read the call to conference, will present meeting rules for a vote, and those are in your program. That program can be accessed from the website under resources, and I'm referring to the actual conference website. She will also take official minutes of the annual business meeting. Our treasurer, Patty Frazier, will read the credentials report to make sure that we have quorum and that is met to conduct business. She will also report on New York State PTA finances. We will have a registered parliamentarian. He will ensure that parliamentary procedure is followed. He will be joining us virtually. Robert's Rules of Order are used for making motions and conducting business. General sessions. During these, a credentialed member will be authorized to, through their URL, to be in the voting delegate electronic room, where they will be allowed to vote and have access to a chat function. Only voting delegates may participate in debate and vote, as we mentioned earlier. Also, within those meeting rules, we did indicate that any motions to be brought forward were to be submitted prior to the beginning of our conference by November 6th. So those have been received. We will talk a little bit about that more when we get to motions. The president will call for votes and ask you to vote in the polling section of the voting delegate electronic form. We make reference to electronic microphone rooms. So there will be two. If you click on the for or the against buttons, it will take you into one particular microphone room where you will be able to speak to a motion or an amendment, and there will be an attendant there that will help you out by filling in information that she will ask you, and that will help to put you into a queue. There will also be a procedural electronic room which will also have an attendant, and it will be used for parliamentary inquiry, request for information, statement of concern, and personal privilege. Voting delegates, this information is very helpful in case you were wondering how we were able to determine this. Each local PTA in good standing as of September 1st, 2020, shall be entitled to be represented at the annual meeting by their president and one delegate for each 100 members. Each council in good standing as of September 1st shall be entitled to be represented by its president or alternate. Each region PTA shall be entitled to be represented by their region director or alternate and shall be entitled to 6 additional voting delegates who shall be region board members. Voting delegates. Voting delegates will participate in the election of the New York State PTA leadership. All candidates must be formally nominated. Oh, there we go. It's going off on its own here. Let's go back up. All candidates must be formally nominated at convention, either by the nominating committee or from the floor. To the left, you're going to see information from the program, which is available in the resources section. And in this, it will explain about our elections, who the slated candidates are, as well as any information that may have guided us through this process from our bylaws. Written consent for any candidate to be nominated from the floor has to have been received by the chair of the nominating committee 14 business days prior to the opening of the annual meeting. Motions. We spoke a little bit about this before. So if a delegate wishes to make a motion, and again, primarily any of those motions needed to be submitted ahead of time. The only motions submitted by the deadline date shall be held by the secretary until the delegate is acknowledged by the chair to speak to that motion. Previously submitted motions will be recognized on the basis of the order it was received during the general session. Over to the right is that entrance form that they will verbally, the attendant, will ask you these questions, and it will allow us to know whether or not you had a motion ahead of time, and so that we can bring that forward. Once you do that, you will wait to be recognized by the chair, the president, and brought forward via video and audio by the high-tech support person. State your name of the PTA you're credentialed to represent, and the region. You're going to state your motion, speak within the established time limit for the motion. A motion to amend may be permitted without the required written notice only if the amendment results from new information becoming known after the deadline or because the bylaws amendment or resolution has been changed substantially by other amendments. The chair shall explain the process if the situation occurs. Timekeeping information. Most of this is completely from it actually is from the annual meeting rules. There we go again with it going off on its own. Here we go back. So this timekeeping information, you will see our timekeepers from time to time possibly, but they are in the room with us and they will determine if you have a bylaws amendment, that's 10 minutes per amendment. Based on our rules, only one time extension of 5 minutes will be permitted for any bylaws amendment, resolution, or motion. And also the clock will run uninterrupted unless ordered by the chair. So it's up to the chair to determine if they're going to stop the clock, even if there's a question from the procedural microphone room. Resolutions, updates get 10 minutes, retentions 5 minutes, a new one gets 15 minutes. Motions, total time per motion is 10 minutes. Time starts after the motion is read. Maker of the motion, after the motion is read, 2 minutes to speak to the motion. Speakers for or against, 1 minute. Statements of concern and personal privilege will be 1 minute per speaker and must be submitted prior to session 3. And that information has been shared ahead of time. And if you have questions, please let us know. Resolutions and conference. A resolution establishes a PTA position on an issue. It is about advocacy. It is why we are here, is to advocate. And I think that this went on me again. Sorry about that. Those to be introduced at the conference are posted on the New York State PTA website. They are also within your program and the resolutions tab. Read through these, become familiar with them. Again, we've brought this up a few times. Any motions to amend were required to be submitted by November 6th. If no motions are submitted, a resolution can only be discussed prior to voting on it but cannot be adjusted. Resolutions. The conference program has this information, as I just stated. A resolutions virtual caucus was held prior to the conference and to get your questions answered. It was very well attended and it was a great experience for everybody. Thank you to everyone that participated. With resolutions, as we have brought up, and to the left, you will see a portion of information from the program. There is a retention, an update, and a recommended for adoption. All that information is explained in the program. Now, one other item I did want to mention is if you do have any difficulties with logging in or getting kicked out, within the website, there will be a place where you can click on it and it will allow you to submit a question to somebody to help you out with any technological problems that you may be having. If there are technology problems during the event, though, we will not necessarily stop the clock. So that is something for you to be aware of, and that is, I believe, within the rules, and you can find that. So, Virtual Conference 2020, come and network with PTA members all over New York State, electronically, virtually, but it's still a great way to connect with everybody, bring an open mind and your fabulous enthusiasm. We can't wait to see you virtually this coming weekend. Take care, and we will see you all very, very soon. Thank you.